Hey, family. Welcome back to Unmute Your Mic podcast, the place where we talk about the conversations most of us avoid, but here is where we face them. And baby, today we're going to be talking about safety. Ooh, child, I hope y'all ready. This is going to be such a good episode. We're talking about the safety you want, but don't know how to create. So grab your pen and your paper. If you're driving, just hold on to the steering wheel, child. So we're going to get into this conversation about creating safety. So without any further ado, Jer, you ready to talk about safety?
Without any further ado, it's crazy. Like I'm about to come up and do a commencement speech, like I'm the State of the Union address. This is crazy.
You are.
I'm cracking up. Safety's awesome, man. I'm always excited to talk about safety. I think you can't have anything without safety.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like it's the key to unlocking the fullness of everything that we desire and long for. And if God wasn't safe, he would never be worthy to be glorified. Mm-hmm. You know, like even just the nature of him and like how he's always like reminding us how safe he was. I really love that Ahmad like read that scripture last night. It's been like in my soul.
On our Bible study, tell the people.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Market the people. You got it. Go ahead.
No, because so they know who, like, where we were. Yeah. Our Bible study. We have a Thursday Bible study, the Oneness Bible study every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central. So tell us. So share about the scripture that Ahmad shared. Shout out to Ahmad.
Yeah. So Ahmad's the dopest. I got to get connected with him. Yeah, so we were just talking about rest, right? Mm-hmm. And talking about where our rest comes from. And I love that, like, when Ahmad got down into the later scriptures in chapter 11 of Matthew, and he was talking about the Lord saying that he was gentle. And I was like, do you understand how important that is? That for you to come in and trust someone to cast all of your cares, that's an intimate thing to release. Mm-hmm. You know, like it's everything that we fear, everything that we face, everything that hurts us, even though we like may hide from it, mask from it, guard ourselves from it, distance ourselves from it, deny it, accept it, it still has meaning to us. Otherwise, we wouldn't have so much activity around it. And you mean to tell me that like you want me to just hand that over to you? How do I know you're safe? And God goes, because I'm gentle. Mm. And God's like, everything I handle with the utmost care. And knowing that someone has the intent and then also knows what the utmost care looks like is like where everything unfolds, where everything kind of pours out of is from this like safety that has to be present for fullness to be fully received and experienced. So you can't have anything without safety. It's amazing.
So, and I agree, but let's go into this question that I have. So if safety is like this amazing experience that people should be experiencing with God in their relationships and all the things, why is it that people still struggle to feel safety in their relationships, whether it's with God themselves, partners? Why is there still such a struggle?
We're not taught how to articulate human. Right? So it's interesting that when we're children, safety is something that's a natural language.
Yeah.
But as soon as we transition into adulthood, it's something that is the most foreign thing to discuss until you realize you don't have it. And so it's this weird transition that we as human beings have to figure out how to be able to bridge from childhood into adolescence into adulthood is how are we still articulating the maturity of us being human in relationships, right? So, we're not taught about safety. We're not talking about what safety looks like at each stage of our human experience and development. We're not taught about how safety matures. We don't talk about what it looks like to be safe with God, how he defines safety. So safety is just not a normal concept of how we do life until we are in a space of continuous harm where we're like, where is my refuge, right? And then the refuge becomes the place that we get so anchored to that we become afraid of anything that makes us unsafe. And so We go from one extreme of ignorance and neglect to one extreme of being so codependent to it that we're afraid of letting anybody in. And so like safety has to become kind of the mediator that we bring into our lives to help us bring understanding into how we connect with ourselves, how we connect with God, how we connect with one another. And I would say like one of the most key ingredients about safety is understanding and accepting that you can understand. Right? And both have to be present in order for safety to coexist and for safety to be a strong foundation for us to stand on. Like there are certain things that someone that I'm in relationship with, familial, friend, romantic, God, whatever, like there are certain things I'll never be able to understand. I have no idea what that's like. But how often do we try to make ourselves understand something that we have no idea what it's like? And I think that the reason why we lack understanding is because we're too busy trying to compare someone's experience to us instead of just trying to learn from it and to try to let them know how we can sit with them in it, even if we don't understand.
I think we try to see ourselves in it.
Yeah, right. And I think that's beautiful when you have context. But if you don't, are you okay with someone's experience being independent of you and you just being a support system without seeing yourself in it? I don't think we know how to do that. I think we only know one way or the other. It's like, if we can't understand, I don't know how to support you. But if we do understand, it's like, I want to walk with you. I was like, well, how do you walk with somebody when you don't understand? Can we not do both? Can we entrust other people to come and be a safety for you that maybe I don't know how to produce? Then we put safety all on one person. What if safety is in other relationships that other people don't know how to give in another? Right? So it's like we have this like altruistic, this, you know, like I always talk about, we want one person to have the source of everything, which tells us that we're longing for God.
Correct.
But we're trying to find it in creation, right? We're trying to find it in a person. But what true safety looks like is like, man, can you continue to share with me how this affects you, how this rubs up against the context of your life, how this brings, you know, some type of thermostat into like your emotional experience with it. Like when we get curious with people when they feel unsafe, it's how we establish safety. I think one of the biggest reasons why we don't feel safe with people is because people don't ask, people assume. So
they assume that the other person feels safe. Is that the assumption?
They assume that the other person understands. They assume that the other person is equipped. They assume that the other person should be able to give them something that the other person may not know how to give. There's a lot of assumptions. There's so many layers to it. But like the whole point of establishing safety is getting to know the life and the personhood and the livelihood of this person. So the more context you have, the more you can understand how to show up for them. You have compassion for them. You have grace for them. You know, it's like if I learn that somebody has constantly had to manage emotions and manage life by themselves, and there's never really been like healthy components of relationships or even with God, where they have partnered with people to help them digest things, to help them process things. If you've been independent your whole life, letting somebody in to develop curiosity and introspection with you is going to feel like the most unsafe experience, even though it's the most healthiest thing that we can have in our life, right? So because we have like a lack of understanding, because we have a lot of assumptions, because we have like familiarities, because we have patterns, we think because we've always had this experience and because we've always been this way, then all of that gets challenged when someone comes in and like rubs up against it. And then you start to feel unsafe, not even knowing how to measure safety because you have to be undone in an area that you've always defined yourself from. So we're like, this is unsafe when it's really just unfamiliar. Once again, we don't know the difference between the two because we are not taught to articulate human as we grow in the stages of our human experience. So we're like, oh, this is corny. This person's this person's that. So now we have to defame because somebody has touched something that we realize may not actually be adequate to who we were made to be. So I'm going to defend. So we have a security system. We have an alarm system. And so things start to go off inside of us that how dare this wall that I've always had established to keep me safe come down, only to realize that the wall wasn't keeping you safe. It was keeping you bound. And we don't know the difference of what the power of the wall does, right? And so like we always miscalculate this scripture all the time. Guard your heart above all else, for out of it flows the well springs of life. Well, we don't understand that God does the guarding. We don't. You don't have God's ability to see all of you in. If you could, he would need not to put his spirit in you and then take ownership of what you can't manage in yourself. Sorry, not sorry, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is God understands that the only way that a human being can be safe is that he finds his home in us. That's where safety begins. A human being without God living on the inside of them will never experience true safety. When God comes to dwell in the inside, see, like, this is so beautiful. God comes in the body. Our senses couldn't animate faith. We couldn't feel him. We couldn't touch him. We couldn't see a face. And so God is like, I'm going to put myself and wrap myself in skin. I'm going to be before them. I'm going to be the once invisible God who's now visible. So now you can see, taste, and touch me, and you can begin to discern who I really am through this like tangible experience. Well, if that's all we needed in order for our faith to be safe and to be sound, then why would he say it's better that I leave? Us being able to taste, touch, and feel God is really great. And there's a substance in that still animates us about faith. But he is like, it's better not that I walk with you. It's better that I live in you. He was talking about safety.
Yeah.
Like everything that has happened to us has to stand against God now, not against myself, with the ability to keep arms against the thing that comes against me. So I don't know which part of me and what has happened to me opposes me and oppresses me. And I don't know which part of me that has happened to me has made me into who I am. And we don't know the difference between human experience that made identity and human experience that creates suffering. And sometimes we don't know the difference between the two. But here's what's beautiful. The identity was made by God and God alone. So he's the only one that can nurture it. He's the only one that can make it, that can mold it. He's the only one that can be able to bring you into what you were always made to be, because what has happened to you is not the creator of you.
Yeah.
Right. And so when God comes and dwells on us in the inside, Lauren, safety is found where I realize that all of my emotions and all of my thoughts and all of my experiences and all of my behaviors, all of the inventory is me, is now managed by someone who knows what to do with all of me. Now we don't have to go through self-development. Now we don't have to go through, I do the work. Now I get to live in, it's already been worked out and somebody has already taken on the labor of the work of me. And the person who's taken on the labor of the work of me is the person who I was made in the image of. There's nobody more qualified. So like God doesn't have to come in and learn what to do with me. God comes in already knowing what to do with me. That's why he's our safest person.
Yeah.
When you bring a human being in, I have to show you. I have to teach you. I have to expose things to you. I have to reveal things to you. And then I got to test to see if what I'm sharing about myself, if there's a safety in you, because you're grounded by the same person that grounds me. And that's the only way we can operate in safety. Because the more I reveal, are you trying to fix?
Yeah.
Are you trying to heal? Are you trying to carry? Are you trying to be the solution of? That's how we discern what is safe or not in relationship. Is, are we taking on something that has already been inherited by God?
So I wrote this down as you were talking earlier. People want safety, but they ask for security. And so I think that it lends to us to talk about that, the space of safety versus security. Which one is it? Because what will happen is in relationship, we'll want to be secure, or we'll say that we want to be secure. We want you to make me feel secure. When really the truth is we don't feel safe. right? So what I tell people all the time, especially when I'm talking to women, is don't give a person like a math equation to something you're not really trying to solve for, because it's going to upset the other person, because they're going to work really hard to try to figure out this algebra equation you done came up with. Then when they finally get the answer, then you're going to say, well, that's not what I needed anyway. But that's the equation you gave them.
Mm-hmm.
You said this was your problem. You had this and you was missing that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not always the truth. And so we will ask for one thing, but we really mean something else.
Mm-hmm.
And so now the person is like, well, I thought I needed to do all this to make you feel secure. And then it puts people in the cycle of nothing I do is ever good enough for you.
Mm.
Because you have me solving for a problem that's not really the problem. And that's a problem.
Mm. Mm. Wow, that's good. I like what you said. We don't know the difference between safety and security.
Mm-hmm.
Security is something I can't give a person. I can't give anybody security, because anything that I give you can be taken away.
I can only call security.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like people have to come to realize that I'm never made to find security in a relationship. So if we're looking for security, then that means is that I'm looking for you to bring everything else that I should already possess, which means it's already not safe. So safety is when I show up to be all of who I am, as I am and where I am, will you still see me as God sees me?
Mm.
And then when you see me as God sees me, will you still choose me? And then if you'll still choose me, will you walk with me? That's the 3 steps of safety. Security is I'm depending on you to ensure that my life is not overcome. Can't give that to anybody. I don't have the power to raise you from the dead, so I don't have the power to make sure you have security. And when those things get discerned and talked about, now we're entering into safety, because now I understand something that I've never made to receive from you. Man, you know what's interesting is like, man, when people go into relationships of any kind, or whether they're trying to heal relationships or bring understanding into relationships, I wish more people would talk about what someone is not made to do for them. But we're always talking about what somebody can't do for them. But we think that we're worthy of having that thing. And then we're like, I just have high standards. I'm like, no, it's not high standards. You're putting God's standard on somebody. That's not the same.
Heaven's standards.
And so people can't discern what only God can do, and they can't discern what a human being was made to do. And so what we're doing is we're like in these cycles of disconnection, cycles of a lack of intimacy, cycles of resentment, cycles of disconnection, cycles of not understanding our person or our people, because we haven't sat down with God or ourselves to be like, man, am I actually expecting this person to be something that they were never made to be? And God, if I am, who were they made to be? That would be the second spot. Because who were they made to be gives me the heart of saying, I want to remain in this. I'm going to say this, and I'm trying not to be harsh, but I got to say it the way I want to say it. We want to get rid of and cancel any person that we feel like no longer serves us so quickly that we only want to go to God to discern how to cut a person off, how to make sure that nobody enters, or how to get rid of somebody. But we never go to God to ask him, how do we stay?
In my season of growth. The last several years, actually, because I've been the person who was like, I was that person you just described, Jared, like some years ago, like 5-6 years, not recent. But I realized in my prayer life, as I'm preparing for my next season, my prayers have been about like, how do I care for them? How do I show up? Like teach me how to speak to their heart when their mind is cluttered, that they don't hear me, but they hear you. Mm-hmm. What does it look like for me to do to be able to stay with them in hard times? Like, what am I supposed to be? Am I supposed to be doing? Am I even supposed to be doing something? Or is what I'm doing is all I need to do, right? Tell you, and then I'm done. Leave it right there. It ain't nothing for me else to do, right?
Right.
Because I agree with you. We are so quick to try to get to the solution. And oftentimes we think the solution is let that person go versus asking God, what is it that I'm supposed to be learning in this season? Because maybe I'm putting me above the purpose. And that's really becoming a problem. So teach me how to do the basic things, like how to be a friend. Like literally, you can go back in my prayer journal. You'll see me talk about, like, teach me how to just be a friend to this person.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Because we try to get to things so quickly that when we miss steps in the process, the final product is always compromised.
It's interesting. It depends on who are walking the process out about what the final product looks like and who, like, ooh, this is so good. If it's in our own strength and you miss a step, the product won't be as you desired it to be. When you walk it out with God and you miss a step, the final product isn't affected. Mm-hmm. That's what safety does. When we are walking with God and how we perceive a person and ourselves to be in relationship, and how we perceive him to be and how he perceives us to be in relationship, that is the strength and the substance that allows misstepping and falling shortness and missing markness to not affect the final product. Why does this not affect the final product? Because everything that is meant for evil, he intends for good. Everything that came against us, he uses it for our good. Mm-hmm. He finishes what he started as the author and the workmanship of the thing that he's fathering. So when we're walking with God in a thing, it don't matter about the misstep because he's going to count it into the goodness and frame it into a place where it brings him into glory and it brings two people into a oneness with him to whereas the result of it ain't affected. Well, I would say that would be safety. You know what safety is? That even if we fall, even if we fight, even if we get into it, even if you change and I change, even if you don't want to do what the thing you said you were going to do, even if you're not the person that what you were 10 years ago and I feel distant from you, even if I feel different from emotional capacity than you are, even if you're unavailable and I'm available, it doesn't matter what you are. But because we're walking with him in the thing that we are, no matter what's happening, it is contained and sustained by him. I would say that is the epitome of safety, that no matter what comes against it, it can't be overcome. That's safe.
So this is what my heart heard you say. Nothing that's meant for me can miss me. Do your worst, but I'll never do mine.
That's safety. And
where we see a gap, God fills the space.
Yeah.
So there's never a misstep.
Yeah.
And the last thing that my heart heard was it's going as planned.
It's going as planned.
And so such a beautiful way for you to bring that in, because oftentimes we do things in our own strength, which is why when you miss a step, it affects the final product.
It affects the final product.
But when our step is with him and he is our three-stranded cord, there's nothing missed. Mm-hmm. He's a bridge over troubled waters.
I'm about to say something really heavy for believers and why the illusion of the church doesn't look like the reality of the body. We do not know how to be members through safety. We only know how to be members through agreement. And if you agree and I agree that this is what it's supposed to be, then safety is present. And that's not true safety. That's not how the body works. Even if you disagree, even if you're no longer in alignment with me about something, even if you don't favor something that I walk in or do, It doesn't change us being brothers and sisters and a part of the same family and having the same father. And as the body of Christ, we are supposed to represent and give light to the world of what true safety looks like when we don't have sibling rivalry because we're not contending with one another about what we disagree about what God said. So if I disagree with you, then I can't be in the body with you. If you're not in agreement or alignment about what I heard the Lord say, then that means that this thing has to end. And what's so beautiful about the love of God is that when we lay our life down for our friend and love one another as Christ loves us, which is the standard of God's love, that we place others before ourselves, is that we can make room for disagreement. We can make room for a choice that is a changed mind. We can make room for something not being as we ought to be. We can make room for something being as it's supposed to be, and that still overwhelms us. We're supposed to have room where we can be able to navigate all the nuances of what it's like for us to be connected and unified. So that way, when the world looks at us, it's like, how come this doesn't divide you? How come this doesn't tear you apart? How come this doesn't cause you guys to have resentment? How come there's no inner fighting amongst this space? We had that in the Bible study last week, and it was like a flame just grew out of nowhere. And we didn't divide over it. We didn't contend over it. Even though it was contentious, what we did is we just reminded everyone that we were all one. And we reminded everyone that we're in this room together. And we reminded everyone that it sounds like there's something in your heart that you want somebody to be able to hear and minister to, instead of us looking at, man, this person's this way, this person's that way. Maybe they shouldn't be in the group. Maybe because we've only created this type of people in the group. And that is what creates faction among the body. But when you have true safety in God, people can be as they are, and they can implode, and they can pour out offense, and then they can start to affect people, and the temperature and culture of the space can be affected, but it doesn't change our togetherness. And that's what true safety looks like. And that's what it looks like to embody safety. How do we create safety? Well, we create safety by knowing that I am fully cared for by God, and I don't need anybody else to care for me or to tend to me other than God and God alone. I'm not saying that God doesn't put people in your life to love you, to care for you, to walk with you, to impart, to disciple, all those things. But those things and those people are just expressions of God, but they're not God. And when we can discern the expression or a gift from God that points us always to God, that's when we know that we're in safety. And so when we operate in these spaces of how do we create safety, when you and I are together, are there parts of you that I haven't accepted? Are there parts of you that I reject? Are there parts of you that I'm blind to? Are there parts of you that hasn't been fully received by me? If they are, can we talk about those parts of you? Because I want to be in intimacy with so deep that every part of you is welcome here. Every part of you is received here. Every part of you is loved here. Even parts of you I don't understand, it still has space to be whatever that is. Well, when we start to do that with God, guess what? We start doing it with one another. And so because we don't know how to articulate safety, because we don't know how to properly define safety, because safety is found in your earthly life having no run amuckness in it, and everything is as you want it to be, and as you planned it to be, and as you dreamt it to be, and everything just looks so great on the outside that you don't have to worry about anything coming against you on the inside. We say that's what safety is, and I would tell you that's actually the opposite of safety, because nothing on earth can keep you safe because all of it is dead, and dead things can't keep you safe.
Which means you're not looking for safety, you're looking for security.
We're looking for security. Lauren, that's a huge discrepancy to bring to the light. That's a powerful revelation. When you're safe with God, it don't matter if you have a lot or a little, you know that you're cared for. You know that you don't lack anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Right?
And something else that you said, I don't want to get too far away from it because it was really good. And you were talking about the gift from God. And so when we realize that in God, there is all the safety that we need and this gift that we receive from it, then what happens is we stop placing guilt on people, because what we tend to do is not see the gift that God is and the gift that he's provided us with having eternal safety and security, right? You get a 2-for-1. You ain't even got to choose which one, right? But when we don't realize that, what we do is we place the guilt on people and we say, well, I wish you would, if you had the money, then I would be able to do, if you had like whatever that is. Whatever the God thing is, we place it on people, and then the other person starts to carry that guilt. Well, I wish I could help you. I wish I could do this. I wish I could. And maybe they really do wish that they could, but let's just keep it a buck. The problem is you're delegating wrong. You're delegating to the wrong party. So now this person is carrying, anytime you give a God thing to a person, what they will carry is guilt because they can't be God.
You got to repeat that, Lauren. That's good. That's good. Repeat that.
Anytime you delegate or position something that is only a thing that only God can handle, what it does is it makes the other person have the guilt. And then they walk around with this heaviness, and now they're trying to like hustle up the money and they're trying to hustle up and do this and they're trying to hustle up because now they're carrying the weight of the guilt because they're not God. And that's the issue. And so then they feel guilty about what they can't give you. And God's like, and we read this last night in the Bible study, this is not for you to carry, right? In the invitation of undone, this is not for you to carry. But we do that a lot in our relationships. And what we do is we make people carry a God task on a human body. I can't. He's the one who's omnipotent. He's the one that he the one that said he on the main line telling what you want. Baby, I'm not on the main line. And don't always tell me what you want because I can't always provide it. I can't. It's funny, but it's true. People really want to call you all the time and they want to know what you think. Well, my question is always, what did God think? Is you been asking? No, because you're going to the man you with and you expecting him to. And let's just keep it a stack. You knew that man didn't have it before you went over there asking him. You knew. He didn't give you the vision. He didn't give you the purpose. He didn't know who you were going to be 20 years from. So if he couldn't do all of that, then why do you have this expectation that he should be able to fill this gap that you have? The gap that you have is because you won't let God fill it. And the person that you with is carrying the guilt of that. And I don't know who that is for, but baby, it's for somebody because it's on me too heavy. And that is why your partner's weighed down. That's why the people in your life are weighed down. That's why the friendships don't last. Because what you're doing is you're tasking them with something. God is the one. He got like he's open. He on the court and he open. But here you go trying to throw the ball to somebody who got 3 people guarding him, and you mad. But he got open all the time. You didn't throw him the ball that one time. And now your person's carrying the guilt. Now we ain't win the game because you ain't. When you threw it to me, and the person that was saying I was open, you never gave him a chance. You never gave him a chance. So my prayer is that those that are listening to this podcast, those that will share this podcast to a friend as a gift, share this as a gift without the guilt. That if you're feeling guilty about some things, share this episode with somebody so that maybe they start realizing that the problem was they delegated you a God task on the human body. That's why you feel guilty.
That's a word right there, Lauren. Tea time.
I'm complete, man. This been heavy and it's been good. I'm gonna sit with this episode. So
yeah, definitely. This is yeah. I knew this was. I was like, this is gonna go left. I love it. Let's go.
So we'll see you guys. We'll see you next week, right here, same place.
Tuesday, Thursday, all the days. Come on now.
All the days.
All the days. We love y'all.
Bye. Love y'all.
Peace.